RTS is dead. Or is it? Before you give up on the genre, check this out. 2026 is stacked with some of the most exciting strategy titles we've seen in years. Here are 8 games that prove RTS is making a serious comeback. Next up, let's talk about taking a massive fantasy universe and giving it the full real-time strategy treatment. Game of Thrones: War for Westeros. Honestly, a proper Game of Thrones RTS is something fans have been begging for forever. The foundation is already built for it. Massive wars, intense localized combat, regional control, and deep lore. The story, the factions, and iconic heroes like Jon Snow are already established, so the game doesn't need to waste time building a world. It all boils down to one simple question. Is the actual gameplay gonna be any good? Aiming for a 2026 release, War for Westeros lets you command the Great Houses in a bid to seize the Iron Throne. Interestingly, it doesn't seem to be pushing a traditional linear story campaign. Instead, it's taking a cue from grand strategy games, giving you an overworld map to manage your territories, seamlessly linking into real-time tactical battles and skirmishes. Honestly, that hybrid style fits the backstabbing, territory-grabbing nature of Westeros perfectly. Visually, what we've seen so far looks promising, though we're still working off short snippets rather than extended, raw gameplay footage. With a full reveal likely right around the corner, this is definitely one to keep on your radar. If you love RTS or A Song of Ice and Fire, you've got to keep an eye on this one. Next, I stumbled across an indie title called Crimson Freedom. It's a story-driven RTS set on Mars that gives off heavy classic Command & Conquer vibes. You get to build bases, command armies, and play through multiple faction campaigns, each offering a different perspective on the struggle for humanity's future. Like C&C, the factions aren't just cartoonishly evil. Both sides have their own reasons for fighting, with themes centered around control, survival, and a pursuit of immortality through AI. Crimson Freedom is targeting a 2026 release and actually has a free demo out on Steam right now. I gave it a try, and to be honest, it's pretty rough around the edges. The controls and quality of life features definitely need some polish. But keep in mind, it's an early demo. At its core, it promises a single-player focused experience with 3 distinct factions and more emphasis on big-picture macro strategy over high APM micro. It's an intriguing indie project, and it's really promising to see solo and small devs cooking up games with this kind of ambition. Next is Liquidation, an indie RTS that takes the core DNA of Warcraft 3 and translates it into a grim sci-fi universe. You've got traditional base building, resource harvesting, and hero-focused combat with customizable items. Because major studios have largely abandoned classic real-time strategy, indie teams are carrying the torch, and Liquidation is a prime example. Targeted for early access in Q3 2026, it promises 4 playable factions, single-player campaigns, and competitive multiplayer. You don't have to wait to check it out either. There's an updated demo available right now on Steam. Next, let's pivot to a massive-scale sci-fi RTS, Sanctuary: Shattered Sun. This falls right into that macro-heavy warfront subgenre, alongside titles like Supreme Commander, Zero K, and Total Annihilation. While the full release isn't set for 2026, the free demo is slated for this year, and in games of this scale, a solid demo can offer dozens of hours of gameplay. The premise is wild. You're commanding vast armies across the surface of a star-encompassing Dyson sphere. Beyond standard base building and macro strategy, Sanctuary leans into dynamic battlefield manipulation. We're talking map-altering superweapons and weather controls that can literally freeze entire oceans to reshape naval and land routes. The dev team is calling it a next-gen RTS, but entering a market with heavyweights like Beyond All Reason means performance is going to make or break it. When thousands of land, air, and naval units clash, frame rates can plummet. If they hit their tech goals and keep the gameplay buttery smooth, Sanctuary could be something special, so keep an eye out for that demo drop. Next up, we have Stronghold 4, which recently put out a playable demo to give us a look at what's cooking. Positioning itself as a prequel to the original classic, the game brings back iconic villains like the Rat and the Snake to establish the lore before the events of the first game. This is a huge milestone for Firefly Studios. It's their first title developed in Unreal Engine and their first major release since partnering with Devolver Digital, meaning there's serious backing behind this project. Now, the demo was admittedly very limited, just a couple of tutorial missions with grayed-out menus and unrevealed resources. But remember, this is a teaser for an early access launch targeting late 2026, so it's naturally an early, unfinished snapshot. Despite that, it's already racked up over 250,000 wishlists on Steam. The core castle sim economy, voice acting, and classic advisor vibes are all intact. The biggest challenge Firefly faces here is split community expectations. You have fans who only love the 2D isometric style of the original Stronghold and Crusader, alongside players who grew up with Stronghold 2, 3, or Warlords. While Unreal Engine delivers solid performance and great visual fidelity, some playtesters noted that 3D unit readability can be tricky in large battles. Skirmish mode versus AI is officially confirmed, and it will be fascinating to see if Firefly can build a true modern classic, stone by stone. Now for the absolute heaviest hitter on the list, Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War 4. When we talk about upcoming strategy games, this is the main event, the true AAA centerpiece of the year. Historically, Dawn of War has always danced on the line between squad-focused tactical combat and traditional strategy. But from everything showcased over the last few months, Dawn of War 4 is firmly planting its flag in pure, undisputed RTS territory. Set in the grimdark Warhammer 40k universe, you've got Space Marines, orcs, and alien forces locking horns in brutal, large-scale warfare. The scope here is massive. A staggering 70-mission single-player campaign alongside deep skirmish and competitive multiplayer modes. Slated for a full September release, the recent influx of uncut match footage proves the game is polished and essentially ready to roll. Coming off the momentum of the recent Definitive Edition, expectations couldn't be higher. In many ways, Dawn of War 4 is the ultimate litmus test for the entire genre. Can an iconic legacy RTS franchise make a roaring mainstream comeback in this era? Because it carries the highest budget and biggest brand name in the lineup, all eyes are on this one. And if it delivers, it could redefine the modern RTS landscape. Moving on to an original candidate that isn't relying on nostalgia, enter ZeroSpace, which launched into early access in July 2026. Rather than just copying the old classics, ZeroSpace is actively trying to modernize the real-time strategy genre for a brand new era. Mechanically, think of it as a hybrid of StarCraft II speed, classic Command and Conquer style, and cinematic Mass Effect-inspired RPG storytelling. What makes the army design so unique is its deep level of customization. You pick from 4 main factions, like the Human Protectorate, the Biological Grell, or the Fanatical Legion, and then supplement your core army by drafting mercenary battle groups and specialized field commanders. This means 2 players running the exact same primary faction can end up with completely different unit rosters and playstyles. Beyond traditional 1v1 and 2v2 competitive ladders, the devs are introducing a persistent MMO galactic war map. This allows casual and co-op players to fight in PvE scenarios and directly contribute to an overworld faction war without having to sweat out high-stress ranked matches. Quality of life-wise, the unit pathfinding and control responsiveness are among the crispest seen in a modern RTS. However, the core challenge for ZeroSpace over its early access period comes down to narrative execution. Great micro and slick UI get strategy purists through the door, but compelling characters, branching dialogue, and immersive world building are what keep casual fans invested long term. In a market where players can always fall back on StarCraft, ZeroSpace is offering fresh ideas, player agency, and a modern feature set, making it one of the most exciting original IPs to watch as it evolves toward a full launch. Now, let's pivot to a cluster of smaller indie strategy titles. A genre can't survive on AAA blockbusters alone. It needs grassroots energy, solo creators, and passionate indie teams pushing fresh ideas. A great example is TFC2, the Fertile Crescent 2 Collapse of the Bronze Age, a title so long they'll probably streamline it before launch. Mechanically, think of it as a pixel art demake of Age of Empires, infused with survival mechanics. You've got traditional micro, base building, and resource gathering, but population management comes with a twist. Your units actively consume food, and if you expand too fast without securing supply lines, your civilization will starve. The recent Steam demo showcases a story-driven campaign where you lead a family trying to survive the chaos of the Bronze Age collapse. Despite the retro aesthetic, it controls like a modern, fully fledged RTS. At launch, it's promising asymmetrical factions like the Assyrians, Egyptians, Babylonians, and Hittites, along with dedicated server multiplayer and AI skirmish modes. It's a huge step up from the original game, and a brilliant take on historical strategy. Thanks for watching! If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more RTS content, and I'll catch you in the next one.